Well, hey, this
Hi.
is Cabin Conversations.
It is.
Is this regular? Regular podcast here
Starting
at Woodlands
to be regular
Church.
again. Yeah.
I'm Dave here with co-host Whitney.
Hi, Dave.
Back for season 5.
Cinco.
Season cinco.
Mm-hmm.
Here, which is just wild how we've been talking and processing, and that snuck up on us.
It did. Yeah.
It took 5 years, but we're here again.
5 years
So,
in.
yeah.
Season 5 means we've been at this for 5 years.
4 years. We've done it for 4 years.
Okay.
We're doing our 5th year.
5th year.
So,
Got
yeah.
it. That makes sense.
Here with our
Keelea,
our guest Keelea.
Our Keelea.
So
Yes.
on this swanky new set, look at
Yeah,
this.
This is
I
awesome.
know.
If you are a Cabin
Watcher.
Conversations listener,
You don't know.
you don't have a clue.
You have no idea.
But
how
if you
cool
are a
this
Cabin
is.
Conversations watcher, you know that
Now
we
you
are
know.
in a different world right now.
Yeah.
Still tucked away in the attic of Woodlands, but with a much better look, a much better vibe.
Yeah.
So
This is an upgrade.
this feels like kind of Woodlands feel, right?
Yeah,
Like,
It
this is
feels like we might know what we're doing, which might
Yes.
be
it does.
disingenuous.
it might be
There's
misleading a little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
There's like a
Mhm.
next level that I feel like it's taken.
We're
into.
legit. We are real podcasters
Uh-huh.
now.
Yeah, you
So,
are.
Uh-huh. I even heard Devin at one point call us the talent.
yes.
Wow.
The talent.
I'm not still in here,
So-
but that feels
Is that, how does that feel? How
It
does
feels
that
like a
feel?
mislabel.
Yeah. Like we get what you're going for.
We get
But
what
had
you're
you
go-
met us?
Yeah.
So-
I understand he's talking within
Yeah.
what he does.
Show
and
stuff.
that's what makes sense.
Production.
That's the language that is used. It
Yeah.
makes sense.
So
Hmm.
so the heartbeat behind Cabin Conversations
Uh-huh.
remains the same. Swanky new
Yep.
set, regular
thank you for
guests
that.
in, but Dave and Whit are going to join you every week,
Ish.
or regular. We're not weekly, we're regular.
Mhm.
And the heartbeat is really to process Sunday's sermon.
Mhm.
And as we've said before on the show, we want to model what
Mhm.
those sorts of conversations
Mhm.
look like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not so that you get to just listen to us and take away what we take away,
Mhm.
but so you can go and do the same.
Mhm.
So I think that I was just reflecting on this, even as we were praying in preparation, there is this rhythm of approaching the passage Sunday,
Mhm.
of study it using the sermon resources ahead of time,
Yeah.
sit in the teaching on Sunday morning
Mhm.
that God, through his Spirit, has led whomever's preaching
Mhm.
to present, and then process it,
Mhm.
prepare. Oh no, we got to come up with 3 words for
Yeah.
this. We can do this. So, but at some point, but
Mhm.
just this regular rhythm
Mhm.
that kind of exists on a regular weekly basis
Mhm.
of allowing God's word to form us.
This summer we did 2 turbo groups for leader training for group life, and laid out this rhythm of there's series of resources for you to study on your own. There's a Sunday message that you sit under in a corporate worship setting, and then we ask that you study it together in your group. The main avenue for groups is sermon-based resources, or the main content, I should say. And it was one of those, I thought of it on the spot. I was like, it feels redundant to do something 3 times, but where we are in the culture right now, information is not at a lack.
Yeah.
You could do 3 different studies if you wanted to. Our focus and our attention is what's actually being trained to not be able to focus for very long or do something for the same thing. So to repeat something 3 times, to look at something in 3 intentional ways is actually forming something in you that the culture is pushing the other way, is for you to not be able to focus for very long, for you to move from one snippet to the next snippet to this thing. So it might feel like repetitive. It's kind of purposeful.
Yeah.
It is purposeful. not kind
Meditating.
of-
I mean,
yeah.
it's meditating on a passage. It's
Yeah.
meditating on God's word,
Mhm.
which is the Spirit's going to honor that.
Mhm.
Oh, what a word.
Mhm.
And one of the other things that I've reflected on, at different times, I've been like, man, how does Brian Berg knows the word so well. I'm like, he has such a deep grasp of it. Well, that comes from preaching God's word
Yeah.
weekly for 33 years.
Yeah.
Like you learn. I know when I'm preparing a message, I learn the text with so much more depth and nuance.
Yeah.
In the same way, most of our sermon series are exegetical. They're going entirely through a book. And to have this regular rhythm, not as a preacher, but as a hearer of the word, of really studying it and dwelling it and sitting in it and then processing it, it's just going to help us know God's word more.
Mhm.
And going to church, being part of church is a lifelong process. And so what a blessing to grow in that. So that's our heartbeat here, that we're just going to model healthy conversations, the types that you're invited to have, encouraged to have with other Christ followers, whether you're in groups or whether you're just talking to your spouse or a friend or your kids or whatever. So, we'll be here almost every week with rotating guests. Keelea, we're going to have you on. I think the rhythm is
rotating monthly guests.
Yeah. So
Yay.
it'll be really good to have
Big
you back
fan of
consistently.
cabin conversations, guys.
Good.
So we're going to start with a question for
Yeah.
Keelea.
Yeah. So this comes from the sermon-based resources, and it's one of the opener questions is a high-low buffalo from the summer. Buffalo is a surprise. What was a surprise this summer? So you get to answer three things.
Mm.
A high,
You got to give a
low,
high, a low, and a buffalo? Okay.
You have where you get to choose one.
Oh, I don't know. I just,
You can choose
Do we
one
know the
or
question?
three.
Maybe? Yes.
well, no.
I think there's different rules around different
You can
tables.
pick one? Can you just pick one?
Sure. Pick one.
Yeah.
A high, a low, or a buffalo.
High, a low, or a buffalo? You know what? I'm going to say a high from this summer. So we sent our 15-year-old off to camp all summer long. She was up at Lake Ann Camp in Lake Ann, Michigan, has been a regular camper there, but this year was working. And it didn't, you guys kind of know, but it didn't start off super great. And she stuck it out. And honestly, I would say a high for me from this summer was just getting to see the growth that she had through that experience and through this summer. Like, she's coming home just a little bit different kid, in good ways.
Yeah.
I've gotten to see her faith grow through this summer. I've gotten to, like, she's saying things like, I just want you to know I'm praying about that for you.
Wow.
You know, like, I'm praying for you in
Yeah.
that. And that's just really cool to get to see and get to hear her. She had that space to take her faith and make it her own. And I just loved getting to watch that. I also loved getting to watch her independence and just what she did with that independence. It was just really beautiful.
Isn't that a season when you send your kid away and they come back and you're like, oh, I get to know this person that I've known her whole life, but now I get to know her in a different way.
Yeah. I mean,
she's
I've always
getting to
been a
know
big
herself.
fan of her, and she's just a really cool kid. But it was just really sweet to get to start to watch her take those steps to kind of come into her own a little bit. Hard, difficult, yes, but just really good, honestly. So I would say that's a high.
That's super cool.
I think it's fascinating when we do this around the table with my family, or when I've done this in a group before, that oftentimes a high comes after a low, or is like even to think about the beginning of the summer. And I remember you saying, hey, pray how this is going.
Yeah.
That was hard.
It was really hard.
If I had asked you then, it probably would have been the low.
It was really
But
hard.
to then be able to have some space between that moment and what's happened, what God has been able to do from the valley into where you are now is really beautiful.
Absolutely.
And interesting that they often...
And that's the buffalo sometimes too.
Sometimes it's
right?
the buffalo.
That's the
too. Sometimes
surprise.
it's all three are wrapped up in one event or one story.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's just a good reminder when we're parenting that while we're stewarding our kids, they really are ours to steward, but they aren't ours, right? And I think there's good lessons and good takeaways in some of that. And some of these moments are good reminders of those things. So, yeah, I would say that was my high.
That's such a good word, Whitney. You we were together at MLT yesterday and kind of just went around, and everyone, you weren't able to be there, but everyone was sharing their transitions, moving into the school year and stuff. And there's a lot of people on that leadership team who are walking through some tricky situations, and there was some heaviness there. And such a good reminder that you pointed out, Whitney, from David Hansen, who's grandparenting really well. And his heartbeat was just, how do I point my kids towards Jesus? How do I leave my grandkids with a little bit more love for Jesus, a little bit more intentionality?
And more just like, how do I love Jesus in front of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to leave the results to God.
Yes.
Because I think he was the end, and there were so many people in different seasons. Doug was on my left, and he's got kids out of college. I'm parenting a 13-year-old. And then you have spanned the elementary.
21 to 5, yeah.
Yeah. So just you went around the table, and there's different seasons and different heaviness of what it looks like to parent.
Yeah.
I think the line that was in my mind constantly is when you become a parent, your heart all of a sudden starts walking around outside of your body. And so initially I was like, how do I control that? Like, I think that's always my initial gut response is, how do I control this so that she's safe or like free from fear? But David's response was, how do I love Jesus in front of them?
Yeah.
What a word for all people around the table to say this. Seasons will change, circumstances will change. Some will be hard, some will be easy, some will be sweet, some will be all of that at one time. But how do we love Jesus in front of whoever? If it's your kids, your spouse, you might not have either of those, but you can still love Jesus in front of the people that God's given you.
Yeah.
As we're moving into the fall, I would just encourage everyone to take time and set aside. This is a great question, just in terms of processing a season. Like this summer season is coming to an end, alas. Fall season is starting, hooray! But how do we make sure that we intentionally leave and move into the next? And so this would be a great thing to journal about or to process and to share with someone. And as we often say here on the podcast too, we'd love if you want to share it with us.
Yeah.
Podcasts at woodlandschurch.org. You can email that in. We'd love to hear from you. And was a high or a low or a buffalo?
Surprise.
I think even just as I'm thinking about highs too, I'm like, my goodness, when we reflect on a season, there should be a lot to be grateful for. Like there is a lot. Like I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, I could have said this, I could have said this, right? Like there's a lot to be grateful for in that too. So.
And that always reminds me and drives me back towards Paul's, admonition not to be anxious in anything, but in everything with prayer and thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And this tie that he makes between combating anxiety and being grateful. It's really hard to be anxious when we're focusing on what God is doing.
Yeah.
And so there's probably for all of us, I know for me, there's lots of opportunities heading into the fall for anxiety.
Yeah.
And so to look back and to say, but where has God been at work? And how do I trust that God is continually at work in the midst of that?
Yeah.
Helps provide that. So
yeah.
But so not just don't be anxious, but in gratitude, there's a third pillar or maybe a foundational remember. Look back and remember what I think of. How many times it comes up in the Psalms, or how many times Moses calls the Israelites to remember the Lord your God, remember what he's done, remember how he's delivered you. It's easier to stand on things that you know. Yeah. You remember them.
Yeah.
So Sunday, we started a brand new sermon series titled Jesus Says. And I'm really excited for these 7 weeks and just sitting in John and sitting in who Jesus is, and really reflecting on that. I know that's been a huge heartbeat for you, Whitney, too, as you've encouraged us in this direction. And this week it was Give Me a Drink of Jesus talking to the Samaritan woman, John 4. And so, Keelea, I think as we're processing this, one of the questions that we really want to sit in is what stirred in you, or what drove you towards remembrance? Like how along those lines, what helped you, what from Sunday's sermon helped you remember who God is, or introduce you to a new truth about who God is?
Yeah. I think this is part of the beautiful part when we are reading scripture and God makes connections for us by his Spirit. So the whole time that I was sitting there thinking about living water, drawing from the well of a living water, right? This whole passage, I kept recalling and hearing back in my head Isaiah 12. So Isaiah 11, if you don't know, is prophetic about a Davidic king coming. And Isaiah 12 then picks up that it's a song of praise. And it says, on that day, so on that day when the Davidic king has come, the Messiah has come, you will draw from the wells of salvation, and you will thirst no more. And just to see how that's actually what's happening here. She's drawing from the well of salvation, so she can thirst no more. And then it says in Isaiah 12, after that, and then you'll go proclaim it to the people.
Ooh.
And that is what she does.
That just happens.
And it just like, I was like, what is Isaiah 12? Like I knew the drawing of the well of salvation. So I like went back after the service and looked, and I was like, man, like that's what it is. That's the picture. That's what we're seeing happening in John 4. To see that connection, and just to see there's hundreds of years in between there. It was just really, I needed that. It was just a good reminder for me. So.
What does that remind you of? Like, what does that
I think it
draw
calls
you?
me back for me, the first moment that I drew from the well of salvation, right? When did I first taste living water? I think sometimes when we're following Jesus for a long time, we can forget what that felt like. And we get to see for this Samaritan woman, we get to see what that moment actually unfolds. We don't get our feelings, but we can tell. We can tell there's something that has changed, transformed in that moment, which is why she goes, gets all those people, brings them back, like, come and meet this person. And for me, I was like, okay, what did it first taste like to taste living water? And do we still carry that same, like, come and meet this person? Like, come and meet this one who has come. Yeah. So it's just a good call of remembrance for me, honestly.
Can I push into that more?
You can.
Like, what was that moment for you? Like,
Yeah. So I don't know if I told you. I think I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. I'll repeat the story anyway. So this summer, I had the opportunity to go back to the church that I grew up at, and it looks it looks the same in the sanctuary. Like, nothing is different. Like 20 years have not passed. 20 plus years have not passed. And got to, I was standing in the back of the sanctuary in the back row, and I can remember vividly as an 11, almost 12-year-old girl sitting where I was sitting when I first heard the gospel preached. I can remember the pastor standing up front preaching the gospel, and I can remember the moment that I felt like, I think he's talking to me.
Wow.
Like, I don't think anyone else is in this room.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone else is in this sanctuary. I'm pretty sure that God sees just me right now.
Wow.
Like, this moment where you're like, is everyone staring at me? Does everybody know that I need to hear this? Like, yeah, like it felt like it was just for me in that moment. And I can remember that vividly. And knowing later, like, I am such a processor of everything. So like, even at 11, I was not like, let's jump in on that. Like, let's wait a minute. Maybe there's a catch here. Maybe there's something I'm missing. But then later that night, just not being able to shake that feeling. But I felt like God was talking to me, and I knew I needed him. And that was it. There's a sweetness of the simplicity of knowing that, like, God sees you, hears you, loves you, and you feel that call from him.
You know, I think at a young age decision, there's a simplicity sometimes. There's a simplicity in everyone's first interaction with the gospel when you give your life to Christ. There's just it's a knowledge of your need, and that you've finally met the one who will meet that need. And there's a complete confidence that his sufficiency is there.
Yeah.
I used to love it was my favorite worship song in high school. Enough. All of you is more than enough for all of me, for every thirst and every need. Just this declaration of the sufficiency of Jesus. And I think as you were talking, I was reflecting on the fact that as life has gone on and that simplicity has been tarnished by the messiness of life, there's a temptation to discount Christ's sufficiency. And that's probably part of the purity of that first moment.
Yeah.
And that's what Moses continued to call the Israelites to in Exodus, was remember this moment where God proved himself to be utterly sufficient, far beyond you could ever imagine. And can that sufficiency not extend in and carry you through these circumstances? And so that's the call, I think, and challenge.
That recently I'm rereading Abiding in Christ by Andrew Murray, and I think it's like day 1 or 2 where he goes to Matthew 11, and the invitation from Jesus is, come to me, and I will give you rest. And if you look at that as the first coming, like, there's sufficiency and there's immediate rest from having to earn anything.
Yeah.
And then the second invitation is take my yoke upon you and learn from me. So, like, if you think about it, even what it is to then walk with Jesus for the rest of your life, there's a learning to take his yoke on and become his student, his disciple.
Yeah. Because
he's lowly and gentle in heart. And it's not what he's giving you, it's what we find. You'll find rest for your soul. Yeah. So come to me, and I'm going to give you rest. That immediate coming to Christ, there is an immediate just release of I will never earn this righteousness. It's been given to me. There's rest there. It's given to us. And then there's this learning to walk with him to find rest for your soul for the rest of your life. It's like, just felt like this, there's the immediate drinking from this well of salvation. And then what is salvation? It's recovery from sin.
Yeah.
It's a living into a fullness of life where sin is no longer playing a part in destroying things.
Yeah.
I've never heard that verse processed in that way.
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
I've never heard that in a too temporal, I've always heard it and read it as parallel.
Yeah.
Come to me and take my yoke, being the same thing, rest, and that sort of thing is the same thing. That's
progressive instead of parallel is interesting.
That's a really interesting interpretation. I see it. So I think, wow, that's rich. And a reminder of the rest that Jesus offers is the rest from needing to
earn that.
To
earn your salvation.
So, but then the invitation he has is take his yoke in obedience, because obedience is such, especially in Matthew, obedience is such a theme. Oh my goodness.
And sufficiency isn't just for your salvation; it's for everything.
Yeah.
Sufficiency isn't. So the rest is not just earning. It's also I'm gonna work not for something, but from righteousness and trust. I don't have to create results. I'm trusting that. So there's a rest there too.
Yeah.
Of walking in obedience to what God calls us to do. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask a pretty pointed question from the sermon. I loved those 4 words John used regarding the woman. So Jesus invites the outcast to thirst no more, the skeptic to thirst no more, the ashamed to thirst no more, and the confused to thirst no more.
Yeah.
Which of those 4 do you most identify with?
Throughout life or right now?
Right now, I think. Let's get pointed. Let's get publicly
Welcome
spicy.
to season 5 of having conversations.
I'll answer skeptic. Skeptic. And I would almost cynic. Cynicism is something I'm fighting against so hard in my life right now. The antidote for that, what I'm fighting for, and I've talked to some people about this, but it's childlike faith. Just this innocence in my faith and my approach that allows me to surrender needing to understand. And so learning continues to be such a big component of who I am and who I want to be. But I need to trust too. And that surrender is what that comes from. So there's a skeptical, like, is it really, like, you really going to make this work? This is really what's best. This is really how this happens. It's like, Papa, I just want to follow you. So I just want that stripped away from that cynicism. Which
is interesting because I've heard you process before. One of your gifts is a gift of faith. And that in cynicism or skepticism feels like an antithetical to faith, maybe. So maybe it's just pushing into your gift a little bit more.
Yeah.
Relying on the Spirit to live that out in you more than trying to muster up faith on your own.
Yeah. It's been a really helpful processing, I think, even as walked through some seasons of like, why in the world would you allow this to happen, God, for various reasons. So,
yeah. I think looking at each word, I can look at seasons where that's a season where I felt like an outcast. That's a season where I felt ashamed. Yeah. It's a season where I felt really confused. Sometimes they're swirling all together. Yeah. But I would say currently, skeptic is probably the category I would fall into as well. That even just and wanting to fight that as well, because I look at people that have been walking with. I feel like sometimes it's the more that you get some experiences under your belt, there's more fodder for skepticism or for faith. But then you look at people that have been walking with Jesus far longer than I have, and there's a deep faith and a deep, even just trusting who Jesus is through the ups and downs, and there's almost a steadiness or like an unflappable nature to some of the people that have been walking with Jesus for a long time. I want that.
There's a purity to it, right?
Yeah. But there's a purity, but I think there's a tested. Yeah. Well, and I guess those go together.
Refined,
tested nature to it, where it's been gone through the fire and it comes out with this thing without all of the extra elements to it.
So the trick is twofold. The trick is one that it's to pay attention to those seasons of difficulty that we do see God's redemption in the midst of, and build our faith in that. And it's also to acknowledge the seasons of difficulty that we don't see God's redemption, and then choose in faith to trust that. Both of those sides are important to refine than a trust or a faith.
And what does remembrance have to do in that as well? When you've gone through hard seasons, to go back, and sometimes you can't see his faithfulness in the season. Sometimes you need to look back and say, oh my, there you were.
Yeah.
There you were. That was your hand that carried me through that bit.
Yeah.
It was there that I carried you. Footprints in the sand.
Oh, Dave.
So,
that was so nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to figure out how to say this because it's going to sound like a thing and it's not a thing. I would say right now I would resonate with the outcast. I would say since moving into next gen and this whole next gen transition, and the leadership in that, I have struggled with feelings of setting apart or separation. And I've wrestled with that most of the summer, I would say. And I would say God is still working that out for me. So it's not even like an outcast in a sense of like, nobody wants you here. That's not what it is. It's like almost a feeling of a separation somehow. And not even, I don't know that I have language in the moment to even describe what I feel like that separation is right now. But there's this feeling like that. And so I would say for me right now, that's the working out that God is doing.
What do you think it would look like in that season, just processing to thirst no more?
I think it would look like a rest, probably from the pressure of feeling like I need to get it right. Yeah. There's a lot of people that are impacted if it feels like it didn't go right. And I feel like I carry some of that. And sorry, I didn't mean to get emotional in the conversation.
Well, season 5 is starting out heavy.
Welcome to it. Everybody here's honesty. But yeah, I think rest from that of feeling like that's not mine to carry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's John's fault at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, John, the elders, let's just, no. I do believe that it is a right decision, but I think there's all those decisions that come with it that you weigh out, and not wanting to disappoint people or let people down in that or whatever that looks like.
And to lead well through it. You want to execute well.
Yeah.
So, and steward well.
And while it was a decision by John and the elders to restructure, you have gotten to make a whole bunch of decisions
since then. Yeah.
So that feels like a heavy burden.
Yeah.
I've said a few times.
Go back to Matthew 11.
I know. That was like, this is when we talk
word.
about not replicate, but go have these conversations in community. Go process in community. This is why we're exemplifying that, because you just don't know what another brother or sister has sitting in, they're reading, they're studying, they're looking at, and how God's going to use that to encourage you, to speak truth into your life in the moments when you need it. So yeah, I'm grateful that you shared that today. I needed that word today. And so that's why we process in community, because we just don't know how God's going to use our brothers and sisters around us.
Yeah.
We've said before, cabin conversations is really just an excuse for us to have life-giving conversations.
To slow down, to set everything else aside, and to have life-giving conversations amongst us.
It's good. And I would say too, as an encouragement, people have heard me say this before, but I have found so much peace in, did the elders agree? Or was this affirmed by the elders, this direction? And yes, there's been a lot of your leadership in that, and a lot of really, really good stewardship in the midst of that. But the elders didn't just say, we're going to make a next gen thing. They said, we're going to make a next gen thing. Keelea's going to lead this. This is the direction. And to whatever end that leads us, I believe God's leading that.
Agreed.
So I have faced a number of circumstances in my life where my initial reaction was, that's wrong. And then being able to say, but did the elders agree? Or did the elders affirm and say, okay, then I'm going to go forward?
Yeah. And honestly, even some of the things I pitched, I was like, there's no way anyone's going to say yes to this, but I'll just put this idea that I feel really strongly about right now that I've prayed about. I think this is a little crazy, but I'm going to put it out there. And then to watch it get affirmed by people by men that I really trust a lot in this church, was just like, okay, we're going to keep going. This feels crazy, but we're going to keep going.
And that is, for me, this is completely ancillary to the sermon, which is fine, but that is the weight of eldership and the freedom that it gives me as a leader in this church to be able to say, at the end of the day, they're the ones who are tasked with discerning God's direction for his local body. And what they empower me to do according to their discernment, praise God, and I'm going to move in that. But they carry the weight of that uniquely. So Sunday night at the congregational meeting, being able to celebrate the 3 elders who were stepping off and affirm 2 new elders stepping on. And then that moment where all of the elders and former deacons and trustees were able to gather and pray over the current elder board. Was just a really weighty moment. It was a powerful moment as a church. So if you weren't able to be at the congregational meeting, bummer. So
come to the next one.
Yeah, come to the next one.
Put it on your calendar.
So yeah, that's I don't know. Didn't mean to tread into that. Sorry about that. But
those are good words.
That's what it is.
Those are good words.
Yeah.
So there's plenty more we could process with this, but we're gonna jump over to a random question.
Time?
We're running low. So
whoa, that was fast. I was just gonna say, is there anything else from this passage that struck you guys?
Is there anything else? I mean, we do have a minute or two.
Okay.
So
anything else that you guys?
I will say this here because the people outside of the room didn't get to hear it. So I'm going to say this here, and hopefully it reaches a wider audience. And I can take no credit. I'm going to give all the credit to my friend Justin Armstrong. But he was able to share with our Sunday morning and our midweek nighttime volunteers on Sunday after the service during a training. He processed through in John 4. There's that parenthetical part where it says, though Jesus himself was not baptizing, but his disciples were. And he talked about why that's so important, why that's included in there, and how his disciples really are the ones knowing the people and baptizing the people, and they're going to carry forward in that mission. And likewise, we as Christ's disciples do the same. And he talked about how everyone in that room, and so everyone serving this fall across all the ministries, and there are lots of you serving this fall across various ministries, are doing that. You are knowing people, and you are supporting people, and you are helping people faithfully follow Jesus in Christ-centered community as Christ's disciples yourself. And I just thought that was such a beautiful takeaway and application that holds true right now, today. So I'm sharing that here because I thought it was really great.
Wider audience is great. That is a great.
I thought it was a good word from Justin.
Thank you, Justin.
So shout
Even
out to
Justin
him.
gets to pop up on Cabin Conversations.
It's everyone. Everyone's here. So
that was
great.
my last takeaway. I'll say that. There's a million more things we've talked about.
It's such a
John 4.
rich passage.
So
Such a rich passage.
There's so much here that we could get into. But
I mean, even just the encouragement of this is an outcast woman that Jesus puts himself deliberately in the way of. He knows who she is, obviously, because he tells her who she is. So he knew that she was coming there, and that's why he's sitting on the well. He's not avoiding her.
And even just the fact that the disciples are not with him is noted and significant, I think.
He sent them away, didn't he? To get food?
They went to get food.
Yeah. I think that's also purposeful. I think she would have probably felt more ashamed.
Yeah.
I think there would have been an audience. And I think he knows her. Yes, knows her sin, knows all this stuff. But I think he knows her also to say, I think that would have probably not landed the same in that moment.
Well, and the encouragement for us as we seek to live Christ-like lives as well is I can find plenty of areas where I avoid the uncomfortable situation, conversation, and Jesus is just the opposite.
Not even leans into. One of the things that I went back and forth with the coloring for the series resource was Jesus said, the woman said, and the exchange between him saying something and her saying something, there's 3 that happen back and forth. And there's another 3 that happen. And then he finally says, I'm he. Finally he makes a response, and there's mic drop moment, right? Of, I'm the Messiah. The intimate, it wouldn't have landed the same because other people would have been interjecting into this conversation. There was an intimacy and a seeking out of this woman who then, like, we didn't include this in because it would have been way too long of a passage. But if you keep reading through the end of this exchange, she changes. It's not a change just for her, but it's a change for her community and the culture that she's a part of.
Yeah.
Because not because of what she said, it's because you said it, we came and we saw him.
We saw him.
And his invitation to let her talk and to process, when from the very minute he knew what the answer was to any of her issues, but he didn't say, "Hey, I'm the Messiah, let me tell you things." He let the conversation, but sat in it too. Was willing to have it.
Gently and truthfully, both.
Yes.
Like I think even just the dignity he gave to her when he said, "Go get your husband," that he knew what he was doing there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she responds and he said, "Actually, that's true. I know more about you." Gentle and then truthful. There's more to be had, but it wasn't a shame filled. It was, I know you and I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's clearly intrigue on her part, or she easily could have been like, "I'm done with this conversation and I'm leaving."
Yeah.
And the fact that she doesn't, she stays even when it is probably uncomfortable in that moment for her.
This thing it
gets uncomfortable when you're reading it back. You're like, "Oh, it's a little," but she doesn't. There's clearly a drawing.
Mm-hmm.
I think about in James where it's like, draw close to God as God draws close to you. And I think in this moment we get to see God drawing close to her.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to see how she leans into that too, and could have stepped out probably at any point, and she draws close to God too.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why this question, where did you get that living water? It just feels like a little hick question. Like, where did you get that water? Is her question. But that one has stuck out to me for so long because it's simple. And it leans into the thing that she doesn't know. Yeah. And how many times is it easy to skip over in a spiritual conversation with people when you might be the one that doesn't know, and you guys say something and I'm like, "I don't know, but I'm not going to ask." But what does it do for her? It draws her into this story.
Yeah.
And if you take the time to stumble on the things that you can stumble on, there can be deeper understanding that happens afterwards, rather than just
don't be afraid of not knowing.
Right.
Yeah. But lean in.
Where did you get that living water?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's an invitation. It's an invitation for all of us in conversations and in space to grow. And you can't grow without acknowledging that you need to grow.
Right.
So, and she did.
Everybody does.
Yep. Well, hey, we're going to end all of our episodes with a random question for one of us, a random one of us.
We don't know who's answering. We brought the spinner back.
So, we got the spinner. So I'm going to spin this here. And it's, hey, look at that. It's Whitney.
I feel like every time I come on, it's always Whitney. I love it.
Whitney. So you get to, we're going to upgrade this at some point, but right now we just have the on-brand
If you are
orange.
only audio listening to this, please go watch it.
Yeah, you got to pick it and draw. So this is like how AI works. Is you just say, give me a long list of questions, make them quirky.
What's a non-edible thing you've almost put in your mouth by mistake?
Oh boy.
Ugh. Yeah, like maybe I just put my pen in my mouth.
By mistake, though?
Don't you ever have it in your hand and you're like, fingernails? That's gross.
I used to chew on my pencils.
That's how people get sick on a regular basis. By mistake, or was it?
No, I used to chew on my pencils as like a habitual thing in elementary school.
Have you ever picked something off the counter and thought it was a crumb from something and then realized it's not? After it's in your mouth?
No, but it sounds like you have. Have you? Is that the non-edible thing?
That's 100% that sort of thing. So
maybe you guys get to answer the question now. I don't remember what it was, but I was like, oh.
Bugs are something that I think of really quick, and bugs are edible. But
glue.
You ate glue? Did you?
Yes.
Like by mistake?
By mistake.
Okay.
How?
Yeah.
Like
fill this out.
Like just. You know when you're working with glue and then it's on your hands? Have you ever had this? No one else has had this happen apparently.
How are you working with glue?
I used to do that as a kid, like in elementary school.
I've spent the last 5 years in children's ministry. Like, what do you mean? How am I working with glue?
What do you mean?
I mean, there's been numerous times glue has ended up in my mouth, not by purpose.
But like glue goes on something. How is it all in your hands? What are you doing? Are you pouring it in your hands? No,
but like sometimes you're working with sequins or something and you're touching the wet glue and now the wet glue is on your...
Or it squeaks out of the side and you want to
you
clean
got
it
it
up.
on your hands.
No, You just let it squeak out.
No, you've never done this,
What?
apparently.
I don't know. Like,
are you a glue stick or like a liquid
well,
glue
I
kind of person?
love glue sticks.
Yeah, see, that's
So,
the difference.
glue
Like
sticks and rubber cement. But I use wood glue. I'll be using wood glue enough.
glue
and they're
sticks are
squeezed
much
out.
more controlled. Liquid glue, not as controlled. Definitely need it sometimes for
Were you
arts and
guys
crafts.
not the elementary school kids that used to put it on your
Oh,
hand
yeah.
and then peel it off?
Oh,
like it was
yeah.
skin?
I remember
for
that.
sure. Yeah.
So fun.
That was
So
glorious.
I've definitely eaten glue, not on purpose, but definitely have eaten glue.
Yeah.
Is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, bugs for sure.
To the end of that.
Dog hair, probably. We have a dog.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
You know. Ugh.
I was trying to think. Yeah. For some reason, a bee went in my,
Mouth.
came into my mind. But
Okay.
I think I would remember accidentally eating a bee.
Push it up, baby.
That's the song. That's what it was. That's
Like when
that's
you
where it
licked
came from. Licking up a
Yeah.
baby of a bee.
Yeah.
So
Have you ever had a bee in your mouth?
no.
Have you ever had a bee in your mouth?
No, I don't think so. I think that would be memorable if you did.
Yeah.
And I don't.
I've
It's not.
I've been stung 3 times this summer in my apiary. I'm in my beekeeping career right now.
By honeybees?
By honeybees.
Okay.
Because I was just getting a little too like, if you go through the process, you're going to be fine. But
Yeah.
I was getting a little too loosey-goosey with stuff. So checking it without anything, anytime, out smoke or
Oh.
anything like that. So I swell up quite a lot.
Okay.
So
So
if
you're
I
like
got stung in the
allergic.
mouth, I would have an issue.
Yeah.
Okay. So my husband, we have these things.
EpiPen.
The pens for him, for bees.
Yeah.
But he got stung on the lip one time
Ugh.
and he just got a fat lip. And then, so I think it depends on the kinds of bees.
Yeah.
Because he reacts really
Yes.
heavily to some and then not to others.
Yeah.
I
That might
have
be
heard
true.
that. I have heard that.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
'Cause it's
But
the
you don't know
people
what
can-
kind, so you always got
But you
that.
don't know what kind. Yeah. So be safe.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
wow. All right. Well, that was
That was a wacky question.
that was weird. So there are better
They'll be
questions
better.
in there.
Well,
Yep.
You just never
So,
know what you're going to get.
Nope. It could be a good question.
Like,
Could be
like a box of chocolates.
a bad
Okay.
question. So all right.
Oh, bad chocolates. What was the worst chocolate box thing? Okay, we can be
I've had some really bad
There-
chocolate. So, hey, this has been Cabin Conversations. We are so thankful to be back. We're going to
Yeah.
be doing this through probably after Easter, something like that. Forever. Season 5 will go on. So what's really helpful is if you do find this beneficial to share or let people know about it. You can definitely check it out on the church website, any podcasting apps, anything like that. But being able to share it on social media or letting other people know is beneficial to us. So it's beneficial to others. Like again,
Other
we've said,
people in our church.
yeah,
Yeah.
we have zero desire to, like, we're not making a thing out of this outside of how it can benefit Woodlands Church. So,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Have a great week. Bye.
Bye.